Welcome to Marketing Adventures with Carmel. As usual, if you're watching this on social media, make sure you give us a thumbs up or comment if you have any questions whatsoever for myself and my amazing guest today. If you are on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe and hit that little bell button too. So this is where we interview some amazing, inspiring, real business owners that, and exceptional entrepreneurs that have had their own journey and overcome some hurdles in certain areas of business. And they have some gold to share because we don't need to reinvent the wheel, but we can learn from other people and stand on the shoulders of those that have already done it. So we share some tips, tricks, and insights in whoever that guest's expertise. So I'm very excited today because I'm looking forward to what I'm going to learn as well. So today we have with us the amazing Matt Hughes, all the way from the UK, who is the king of video. Welcome, Matt.
Hello, all the way from the UK. I'm like, no, Carmel, you're all the way in Australia.
Well, that's exactly it. And today we're going to be talking about the 5 tips to monetize your YouTube channel from day one. So before we get into that, I'm actually going to introduce you correctly instead of just going blah, blah, blah. So in 2013, Matt started his video company. So he's been doing it for just a little while, which he ran for 7 years, creating video and traveling the world, which that's kind of slowed down a little bit, I'm sure. So with clients from one-man bands right through to billion-dollar companies. Fast forward to 2019, he created King of Video brand, and he helps small business owners confidently create consistent video content. Excuse me, who doesn't need video content that connects with their audience? And you all know, if you've been watching me at all, I'm all about getting the right message to the right person at the right time. So in 2021, Matt turned his focus to YouTube, and the goal was getting 1,000 small businesses to 1,000 subscribers. So if you don't know, 1,000 subscribers is the key number that you need to have before you can even think about monetizing your channel. Using YouTube as the primary platform to grow their business and make money by strategically creating video content. So welcome, Matt. I'm so excited to hear all about this. But before we do, tell us a little bit about how did you end up doing video anyway? Like, what was your journey?
How did it end? Right. So it's funny because it's a strange story because I've been in IT for 20 years and I became an IT contractor about 2010, 2011, something like that, which was really well paid. My salary almost tripled, maybe more, overnight. And so I had lots of spare cash. And I was, at the time, I was just spending it on, all the things that I never had in my life before that, holidays and all that kind of jazz. I got married as well. And then I met somebody, well, I was getting married and we wanted a wedding film. So it was like, how, we looked around just to try and find something. They were all really boring and, they looked like, they tried to make them all cinematic, and I wanted something more upbeat than that. And I asked a friend of mine who I'd helped him get through his uni course. He had to build a website for his uni course, and I built it for him. Not sure he should tell the examiners that. I definitely did it for him. And he was doing media production at the time. So I said, have you filmed a wedding before? And he sent me this wedding film that he'd done in the summer before, or the summer sort of after he finished uni. And it was amazing. It was like a music video. And I was like, mate, like we need to start a video business. Like, this is brilliant. Like, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm looking for a job in retail. Like I've finished this degree. I can't get a job in media production. Like, I'm just going to go and work in retail. And I was like, no, let's start a video company. So I spent about 20 grand on equipment, cameras. I got super excited about all the gear and tech and everything. And then we started, for the first 6 months, we did pretty much, what do you call it? Portfolio building. So it's like we filmed expenses only for anybody. And fortunately, at the time, I was a public speaker for IT. So I knew lots of conference owners. So I went to all of them and said, hey, do you want a video? just pay our expenses and we'll come and do it. So we went to Amsterdam, Copenhagen, Vegas,
Wow.
a couple of other places in the first 6 months. And after that, I was like, okay, we've got enough portfolio stuff now. Let's just sell the services for the same price that I do contracting for, which was £500 a day at the time. So I said, if I'm taking a day off contracting, I'm going to get paid the same amount if I'm doing the video work. So it was like a nice way to sort of justify it to myself. And that's it. And then once we'd done that, we just continued to go along that road. And because of my IT connections, the large portion of what we did was IT based companies. So that's where the $1 billion stuff comes in, really. We did like big exhibitions, we did large conferences, and anything that anyone would pay us for with video. We also did things like waste management, health and safety, all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And of course, we did weddings as well. I always forget that we filmed 60 weddings during the time of that business, which was amazing. Wow. Weddings didn't really make us any money, to be fair, but I just love doing them. They're such lovely things.
They're very time consuming, I would imagine.
Yeah, so tight. It's like 1 day filming, but 5 days editing. Whereas when you do the corporate stuff, you can do a day's filming and a day's edit. And it's like 3 times the money. So it makes more sense commercially. But I love that kind of legacy piece of doing the wedding films where they could take them and still watch them back. And our own wedding was our second wedding film. So that was nice as well because I've got all that footage.
Yeah,
which is great. So that's how it started. It's kind of, it was a total side hustle, just something that I enjoyed doing, and then became into a bigger thing.
Awesome, that's cool. So fast forward to now, like how did it go from doing the video production to kind of go, well, hang on, YouTube is the place to be?
Yeah. So I guess the story is that towards the end of the business, the guy I built the company with, he was with me for 5 years. He left. Not the guy I originally started with. He left after about 6 months, and then I had this other guy that I employed for the whole 5 years, and he left and took half of my clients to start his own business, which was a little bit disappointing. But at that point, you kind of, when you go through something like that, because it felt a little bit like a relationship breakup. It was really strange time. But I really sat and I'm sure a lot of people have gone through this. Like, what do I really enjoy doing in life? Like, what's the thing that's my calling? And I really found the 2 things that I love doing were video and training. So I was like, I'll create something that involves video and training. Then I was looking for domain names for sort of businesses, and I tongue in cheek put King of Video, and it was available. And I was like, oh my God. So then I went and asked the coaching group I was in at the time, I was like, can I call myself the King of Video? Is that too much? And they were like, Matt, what are you talking about? Why have you not done this already? Just go and do it. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So that's really how it came about. And I got the branding. It's on my top here. And I've really just embodied that over the last 2.5 years. I love training people and helping people. And with the King of Video stuff, I after that kind of breakup happened, I went to a YouTube conference in LA, great, nice little time away. And I met all these wonderful people. And I remember standing in the hallways with them, and they were like, how many subscribers you got? And I was like, 112. And they were like, 112,000. And I was like, no, 112. That's it. And I was like, how many you got? And this guy was like, 5 million. Oh, okay then. So I went to that. I met some amazing YouTubers. Still friends with a lot of them. A lot of the big names you sort of think about. I always go to these things and find the nice ways to get into stuff. So I ended up on the speaker dinner the night before and sat with all the speakers. And I'm great at connecting and building relationships in that way. So did that, and then about a year passed. Actually, I didn't really take it seriously after that. And then a year passed, and then when it got to 2021, I was about 500 subscribers. I was like, look, I'm going to spend the year and just really do this properly. And I probably published around 30 or 40 videos that year. And finally got to the 1,000. I think I'm at 1,100 or something like that now. So I think it was just more last year that I said, I'm going to take this, be strategic about it, take it seriously, and start setting some targets and looking at like, how do I really do this in a professional way? And then the other side part of that is I started a YouTube challenge where I got other entrepreneurs to build their channels and sort of grow that. And I think, did that 3 times last year. So we've had maybe 500 people go through that challenge. So now when we get to 2022, I'm really focused on helping people start their channels, but really start them with the view that they can monetize from the start. You don't have to wait for that 1,000 subscribers and the 4,000 watch hours. Like, you can monetize from the start. And I've got another channel that I've started that I've done that straight away as well.
Okay, cool. And look, the thing about it is monetizing that it's just another stream of income. You know, the one thing is not to put all of your eggs in one basket. But what I'm loving that I'm hearing is you have taken so many opportunities. You know, that instead of just going, oh, I'm just making videos, it's like, no, that opportunity came up. Oh, hang on, that opportunity came up. And I think sometimes people have a fear around taking those opportunities. So it's terrific to hear you say, had you not taken them, where you would be. And especially, as you say, somebody left with and took half your clients. Like, that can be devastating to some businesses.
Yeah, it was,
and I know some businesses, but you can sit and complain about it and you can moan about it and say, that's it, I'll never do that again. Or like you did, you can say, well, okay, that happened. Not nice. Yeah, it's a bit uncomfortable, but what can I do about it? And you can be, instead of reacting, you can actually start to take action, which
you know, it's not if you're a business owner and you have created the business, like, there's no real way where to go. Like, there was like a real dark place I could have gone into, and I didn't want to entertain that as the, you know, I sat and thought about the whole business from the start, you know, connect to the actual 7-year video company. I was like, you know, what you just said there is I created that opportunity. It didn't exist and I created it. And so when you do that, you have this self-belief that you can always do that again. And that's not because I'm special or because I've got anything that other people don't have. It's just having that self-belief that there is opportunity out there. We're not in a third world country. We are very, very blessed to have it all around us, and it's so available. So you just have to decide first and then really go for that thing. And, you know, we make loads of mistakes along the way. It's not like everything just dropped on our laps. You know, we had legal battles with people. We screwed up a load of stuff, you know, but most importantly, I think we said yes to almost everything that we could come across. And then just figured it out. You know, we had this one job where we filmed some diamonds. It was for a lighting company that lit the diamonds up. And when we filmed the diamonds, they would not sparkle. And this lighting company, the reason why they wanted us to film it is because their lighting made the diamonds sparkle more than anything, and we could not figure it out. And eventually we figured it out. We had got this this lens that showed the sparkle more than anything. But I just remember, like, stuff like that, we were like scratching our heads going, what are we going to do?
But your diamonds aren't sparkling. What am I going to do?
Yeah, we just have no idea what we're doing. But, you know, you just take those challenges and you figure them out. Same with the weddings. We, you know, didn't know what we were doing there either. But
that's it. And I like to bring that in for anybody that is watching. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't have to know everything that you're doing. But as long as it's figure outable and we can stuff it up along the way, but we can figure it out. And you also gets you into what you don't want to do as well as what you do. Well, I
have that behind my head, by the way. I don't know if you can see it because it's slightly out of focus. But it says imperfect action. It's always there.
Oh, okay.
As well as clean your lens. That's another bit of advice. But imperfect action, like one of the coaches that I was with at the time talked about it and really, really gave us permission to sort of just be, I call it the beautiful imperfect self, because it's just, that's the way you should always be.
Well, imperfect action is so much better than perfect inaction. And that's exactly what happens. Cool. So let's dig into these 5 tips to monetize your YouTube channel from day one. Share with us that gold.
Okay. So, so the first thing I will say is that most of the advice that I saw about this when I was looking for it myself originally was like, you've got to get to 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours. Like, that's how you monetize YouTube. And the focus was always around getting Google ads as the income stream, but actually it's such a terrible way to look at it, because actually when you talk to a lot of the paid professional YouTubers, Google Ads counts for like 2 to 5% of their income. Like it's just, you know, YouTube ads. It doesn't pay the bills. It's just an additional, you know, unless you're Mr. Beast and you're getting like millions per video. But for everybody else, it doesn't really pay the bills. So I want you to know that that's not the route to monetization on YouTube, especially not from the start. Actually, the one thing I want you to think about is these 5 things that I've got. So the first thing I want to talk about is branding your channel from the start. So when people start on YouTube, you'll probably see that they hit their YouTube channel and you'll see it says videos or uploads, and there's no banner and there's nothing else.
Yeah.
Because that's how it starts, you know. So people think about YouTube and don't think strategically that actually this is a place, this is a shop window for me. In fact, it's probably the best shop window that you have, because even your website, your Facebook page, all your other socials, they don't quite have an asset library that's available to anybody that arrives there as much as YouTube does. YouTube is the fastest route to know, like, and trust than any other platform.
Wow. Yeah.
So thinking about tip number 1, it's about branding your channel. So on my channel, you'll see it says King of Video at the top, and then there's a little thing that says grab one of my freebies on the right hand side, and that is built into my channel art. So you know, correctly doing that means that already you're telling people, it says new videos every week, you know, you're telling people exactly what they can expect when they get to your channel. And by having
to actually share the screen and show that, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So let me make sure.
And I loved, Carmel, I loved the fact that you talked to the YouTube audience at the start. You know, you said, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. Like these little things, because my tip number 2, whilst you're doing that, is having calls to action. And these 2 tips kind of work well together. But like, you've got to have those calls to action, those direct calls to action all the time. People forget this, even on like Facebook Lives. They think, I can't be too sales there. Have you ever heard that before? I can't be too salesy.
I can't be too salesy. I can't be too pushy.
Yeah. But yet they don't do it at all. And you're like, hold on, you've got to do it some of the time. Like, people need to know. In fact, I would almost go as far as to say you have to do it every time. Every time you should be telling somebody, because
I think you do people a disservice if you don't tell them where they can go if they want to see more or want to work with you more or whatever that is. You're actually doing them a disservice if they don't know where to go. So now we have it open. Can you see it now?
Yes. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
So you can see is the banner. Yeah.
New videos every week. Big advert on the right hand side that says grab my freebies, and the subscribe button and the socials and stuff as well. So I'm pointing people and giving them a call to action straight away. So I don't know about you, but if I watch a YouTube video and I like the content or I like the person that's delivering the content, I will always click the channel name and have a quick look around the channel. And so because that's my behavior when I'm using YouTube, even before I started doing YouTube videos, I expect that other people will have the same will take the same sort of action as me. So I want them, when they land here, to know what the next logical step is, and that might be grabbing a freebie or whatever.
Yeah. So all of these are clickable.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And you know, I'm talking about call to action, direct calls to action. One of the things that I've got, well, shall I tell you what? Shall I tell you what the 5 things that I've got listed here, and then we can just talk about them as a whole. And then maybe I can reference them.
For a moment.
So the first one is branding your channel.
Yeah.
The second one is a direct call to action. The third one is affiliate links, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
The fourth one is to tell them to join your group or your lead magnet. So you're going to grab those email addresses. And then the fifth one is to seed your products throughout your videos, your products and services, whatever they may be, you know. So they're the 5 things. Carmen, I know you've got the 7. I've got a freebie that's like 7 ways to monetize your channel. So there's a few more there as well. But
I've just popped it up on the screen there for you.
Perfect. So I want to talk about it as like a whole piece. So when you're considering, and this is the strategic view that I'm talking about when it comes to YouTube. So when you're creating your videos, you need to think about those calls to action when you're filming them. when you're uploading them and adding them to your channel, you've got to think about the affiliate links. You've got to think about the links that are in the description. And so, you know, the reason why I wanted to tell you about all of those things is because notice that none of it is accidental. You know, like it's not, I've just filmed a Zoom call and stuck it on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Like that's, you called it about a disservice to the people. Like that's a disservice to the channel and to your own brand. Like, why would you leave that stuff to chance rather than being very strategic and say, these are the things that I'm going to do throughout the videos. So I really want you to think about that when you're uploading this stuff. Where do you want me to go next?
Now, I was just going to share the screen and just show us some of those things in it. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. In fact, if you share the screen again, right? So I'll tell you what we could do is I wonder if you can search for it. I might have to send you the link for it as well. I've started a new channel, and I want you to show this one because with this one, I've been very strategic. Let me just pause that. That's me again. I've been very strategic about this. I'll send it to you in the private chat. And what we've done is I started this one from zero. So with King of Video, I'd been doing it for a couple of years, and there's some old content on there as well. What definitely wasn't strategic from the start. But with Hazel Sky Designs. So Hazel Sky Designs is our business where my wife, she creates these Instagram templates, Canva templates, and she sells them as packs. So they're really low cost packs of stuff, right? So when we thought about that as a business, we were like, how do we translate? And again, I'm giving you these examples so you can kind of think about it for your business. But how do we translate selling a product that is a pack of digital assets and then make a YouTube channel about it? Like those two things don't seem to work. So we're like, well, what does the ideal client want? Well, our ideal client is someone that uses Canva, and our ideal client probably wants to do that themselves and learn about Canva and stuff. So I said, well, let's create a channel dedicated to Canva, and then we will then link to the templates and the stuff that we're selling. So with this one, you can see if you press read more on that Welcome to Canva Collective one. But I mean, you can see it on the home. Yeah, that one. Yeah. You can see it on the homepage there. I'm already saying to people straight away, just click show more again. Yeah. Like join our community. So we started that with zero. I started getting some people to join that. There's 140 subscribers there, something like that. And that community, I was like, that's where we want to bring people to. So we want to take all the views and the people that are coming to the channel. We want to take them to the Facebook group so we can start nurturing that audience. So we've given them that shout out. There's also subscribe. There's the website, the shop, and the community again there at the bottom. So I'm thinking about like, how do we move these people from YouTube as a platform that I'm not earning any money from at the moment, that I'm putting a lot of effort into? How can I start monetizing them by moving them from one place to the next? And this is how you do it. So you can see just a really straightforward call to action, join our community. And you can see our community's got about 80 odd people in it at the moment. So 140 subscribers, half maybe, if they've all come from there, are inside our community. And we will continue to do that as that channel grows. We're always going to encourage them to come and join our community as well.
So it's about, as you say, having the strategy, and it's coming at it from all angles. It's not just, I'll build a YouTube channel. I know for me, my YouTube channel was a parking ground for videos, if I'm honest. I just used to throw them up there to store them. But now I'm getting a little bit more creative with that and building it myself. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that people often say, well, there's two things they say about YouTube. A, they don't know what to do and how to use it, right? So that's, you know, the first thing that I kind of work with people with. And the second thing is, and I've said this myself for sure, it's a long-term game.
Yes.
And because we're in the world of instant gratification, long-term feels like, oh my God, that's loads of effort.
Yeah, and that's never going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. But in truth, actually, it's long term because you're building a long term asset, and it is an asset. It's a business asset that grows every single time, every single day it's growing. And not all of the other platforms, you can't say that's the truth. You know, there's limits on Facebook, there's limits on LinkedIn, maybe Instagram's slightly different. So if you think that it's forever growing and it's forever giving you some kind of return, then if you start it strategically, you can build on that return. But this idea that it's a long-term game, it doesn't have to be long-term. You can start it from the start knowing that it will start paying off if you
have these call to actions and things like
Yeah.
that. So how do you, one of the things, I'll stop sharing for a moment, that I know people will ask is, how do you decide on, or how do you know what content to make?
Okay, great question. So I've got this YouTube challenge. We've not done it for a while. But one of the first things I tell people to do in my YouTube challenge is I keep mentioning that YouTube is an asset library, right? It's an asset library. So every video you put on there is an asset. You have to feed the audience to the asset. But one of the things that I want you to think about is it can be an asset for you as a person. Because I don't know about you, but with the audience that I have, I get the same questions all the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, Matt, what kind of content do I put on YouTube? Matt, what's the best camera? How long should my Facebook Lives be, or how long should my videos be? You know, these are like the common questions, which I don't mind answering. I'll answer them all day, every day, no problem. But what I do a lot of the time, what I suggest to people, whatever business they're in, is come up with those 10, 20, 30 questions that people ask you all the time and create those videos first. Which is the opposite of what most people say, because most people on YouTube, they'll say, if you want to create viral videos, go and do loads of research into all the things that are most popular, and, you know, try and put videos out there that people desperately want. But the reason why my advice is the opposite is because what I care about the most is saving you time at the start, because it's hard. So when you're creating a channel and you're creating something new, it's hard to figure out what it's going to look like, how it's going to be. So make your life easier by creating the videos that for the questions that you get asked the most, because then you've got a channel where you know your audience is already interested because it's the questions they're asking the most. And also you've got something to send them to. So you don't have to answer the same question over and over again.
And there's nothing worse than sending people to a YouTube channel that there's nothing on it either.
Yeah. Or it's not yours, you know, worse than that is it's not yours. You're sending them to a competitor or to, you know, to somebody else that is answering the question in a great way. And you're like, oh, they've got a great answer. but you know your answer is good, right? You're the expert, the knowledgeable person. Like, your answer must be good. So get it in a video, get it on there, get it to somewhere. And of course, then what they do is they get the answer to that question. They click on your channel name, see your other videos, and then they start getting the other answers as well. And that's why it accelerates that know, like, and trust, because they really know that you know what you're talking about.
So it's a multi-pronged approach. So it has to be a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah. And you know, like, this is why, so when we work one-to-one with people, we'll say, we come up with a list, like a spreadsheet with a list of all the questions they've got. And then I get them to film the first 12, and then they do like 4 at a time. But the reason why I get them to film the first 12, there's a couple of reasons. The first is that you want to have a bank of content that you're going to upload, because there's nothing worse than putting something out there and then not publishing again for a while. So make sure you've got a bank of content. And the other reason is that we want to make sure that we've got a bunch of content that we've got on the channel if it's a new one. So I'll very quickly get the first 4 on there or 6 on there, and then we'll then post them once a week after that. So you don't have to post like loads all the time, just once a week.
And that was my next question was, how often should you, like, you know, you hear on Facebook and thing, you have to be posting every day, this, that, and the other. With YouTube, how is that different?
Well, I describe the YouTube content as your signature video. So think about, a lot of people talk about signature courses, you know, like they're your masterpieces. So I want you to think of your YouTube content as your signature video. And that doesn't mean it has to be a masterpiece, by the way. It just means that it has to be a well-rounded piece of content. right?
Yeah.
So it might be that it has a start, middle, and end. It might be that it explains something in a good amount of detail or whatever, but it just needs to be a signature video. And then you talked just before we came on air about my repurposing stuff. Like
Yes.
what we'll do with my content repurposing stuff is we'll take that signature video and then repurpose that 49 times and post that on the socials over the week. So
when you say repurpose it 49 times, what do you mean?
Yeah. So with the signature video, because a lot of people think, well, it's overwhelming. I've got to create all of this stuff, and I'm constantly in this sort of hamster wheel of creation. But I flip that on its head a little bit and say, well, why not create one video a week? So that's your target, just one video a week, which is palatable for most people.
Yeah.
And then use that content and repurpose it 49 times. And so there's a freebie, Carmel, on my website. So which shows you the 49 ways. But effectively what we do is we take the video, we create a blog post, image quotes, snippets, video snippets, and a whole bunch of other stuff out of this one video. And we use a piece of software called Descript, which is getting better and better every month. It's a fairly new piece of software that not many people know about. Link is in the description of all my videos. But Descript allows you to repurpose content almost like a Word document. Like, I'll just tell you one feature of Descript, right? Before, there's so much, but I'll just tell you one thing that is mind-blowing. So for those of you that have the problem of umming and erming throughout your videos, and you're like, oh my God, I too much. You know that feeling, right? You can put it in Descript. It will transcribe your video. The first thing it does is transcribe your video. And then it has something called remove filler words. And you right click the and it will remove all of them and chop the video, like take those bits out of the video in a second. Like, it's an instant thing.
Yeah.
Whenever I show anyone that, they're like, oh my God, that's just changed my world. It's amazing. You know, it's amazing.
So you can click on any word. So if you were saying some other word, and it will, oh wow.
So it says it's called remove filler words. You right click the word and press remove filler words. But they've got things, because they've obviously do this as a business, they've got like, if you say words, repeated words, and a bunch of other stuff as well. So they've got a real good list of things that you might say. And you can do it one by one and check, you know, sometimes you say like, they think it's a filler word, but actually it's just a normal connecting word. So
is that, I can pop it up on our thing here. So DESCRIPT?
Yes.
.com or .co?
Yeah, I think it's .com, Descript.
We can just put it up on the screen.
It's .com, yeah. Descript. And it's just an ever-evolving piece of software. So in the content repurposing stuff that I've got, so I've got a free thing on my website. It's like a 20-minute video which shows you how to create the 49 assets. And then, of course, I've got a course that, you know, teaches you how to do it step by step. But you can take that 20-minute video and just learn the thing. And, you know, Descript, it's just amazing. You know, it just creates all the different types of assets. And we used to have 5 pieces of software that did all of the work that one piece of software does now. And there's a free version, there's a $12 a month version. Like, it's just wow. super cheap. So if you think
it's much better than Otter, for example. So I used to use Otter.
Well, it's just like Otter and Headliner and a bunch of other things all together.
Right.
So it really answers the question of, like, can this software do it all? And like, they didn't do custom fonts and custom colors on a few of the repurposed things, and they've added all of that recently. So really is an amazing tool. But back to the original question is, like, how do we create this content on YouTube alongside everything else we do on social? Well, we start with the signature video first as your masterpiece content, and then we drive the traffic from everywhere else with this repurposed content to that video. And, like, for me, I'll create a blog post which has the video embedded, so that they get, you know, they can decide if they want to read it or if they want to consume the video content. Like, I really make it easy for people to consume the content, and that way you're constantly feeding an audience to that YouTube channel as well, which of course increases your views and subscribers and everything else.
Yeah, and you do that through all of the other socials. How do, like, the likes of Facebook, etc., are not too keen on having external links? So
Yeah.
how do you get around that to drive them to it?
Well, there's two ways I look at that. Firstly, people will say things like that, but they have no idea how the algorithm really works. Like, it's just an opinion, right? I know
Yes,
people have done
okay.
testing, right? But it's just an opinion. So people will say things like, you can't post on YouTube links directly on Facebook because it won't get any reach, things like that. And I'm like, that's strange because mine does.
Yeah.
Not entirely true, is it? Facebook pages are dead. No, mine's not dead. I get people
Yeah,
on the Facebook page all the time.
yeah,
So I think take the opinions as opinions, because that's what they are, and test to see if it works.
test it,
And
yes,
the other
to see
thing to
what
think
works.
about is, like, I'm building a Facebook group. So by the fact that they're opted into my Facebook group means they're more likely to see the content that I'm putting there, regardless of whether it's on another platform or not. Other
Yeah,
things that I do, like linking comments in the description, I'm sure you use that little trick to link to external stuff.
yeah,
And the other thing is, with the snippet videos that we create, so I always create 1 minute snippet videos that are like square. We call it PSL, so portrait, square, or landscape. The square ones that I create will have a 1 minute part of the video, and then at the end of it, it will say, there'll be a slide that says, watch full video on YouTube, link in the comments. So I don't have to type the words link in the comments, because obviously Facebook will figure that out. I don't have to type that because it says it in the video, and I don't have to say go to YouTube and use the word YouTube
right. So the
in the video.
captions come up that actually say it. So
Exactly.
when you say you do 30-second videos, do you mean in stories on Facebook?
Yeah, story. So that's what
Yeah,
PSL is. So portrait, square, and landscape. Landscape obviously is the preferred. That's what your eyes see. Square is available on all platforms, so that's a good one to use. And then portrait is your stories. So,
yeah.
so we repurpose to those three. PSL is what we call it. We repurpose to those three and then use them across the socials. And then, of course, Instagram's come up with this nice 1080 times 1350 format. Which
Just
is
to make
four to
things,
five, yeah, just to make things a little bit
yeah,
more different. But that's still it's a good thing to have, because you're getting more visual real estate to sort of show people your videos and stuff. So I suppose we should be positive about it, even though they've just thrown that spanner in the works.
yeah. Well, that's it. And it's just, and I love the idea of repurposing. And I think that is so many people, and I know people watching this will resonate with this. They get exhausted at trying to be everywhere all the time.
Yes.
And I keep saying that, I had to learn it too, as I'm sure you did. You don't have to repurpose everything. You can take a great quote out of your video, put it on a lovely Canva image, put it on,
Yeah.
you can even, Canva does little videos as well, put it up into your stories. I make like short 30 to 90-second videos. And if they're under a minute, I can export them from my Dropbox and put some funky stuff on it for Instagram and things like that. So that same video that I'm putting everywhere else, I can actually repurpose onto Instagram, into stories, blah, blah, blah. So it's not as hard as you think, but it's the strategy and the planning behind it.
Yeah. It's only hard at the start, like once you're getting going, it's hard because you're learning, you're trying to figure it out. It looks a bit terrible at the start, you're trying to figure out your branding and all that kind of stuff. So like either find somebody that helps you with the shortcuts at the start.
Yes.
That's a good way to get ahead. But also just know that, even so, content repurposing school is a thing where I teach people, right? And even with that, I when I sell it, I give a VA license, because I say to them at the start, I say, I'm going to show you how to do this process, but you must go and get a VA to do it, whenever you can afford to do that, because not everybody can. But I say, the reason I teach you the process is so you understand it, because I've been in a position where cash flow was short and I couldn't pay my VA. So then I had to do the work. And when you're put in that position, you don't want to be like, oh, I can't do any of it. Don't get me wrong. I've got editors that are far better editors than I am, and I'd hate to lose them. But understanding the process means that when you pass it to somebody else, you've really got a good knowledge of and it comes out in your filming. When you film stuff knowing that it's going to be repurposed, there's certain things that you start to do in your filming that Well, even like what you've done, Carmel, you know, like when you first create a show like this, or you know, a broadcast or whatever, when you first do it, you don't do all of that stuff at the start, you know. Don't forget to subscribe and like that. Like, you just do it and you go live and you're like, oh, I can do this, and then you're like, how can I make it better though? Like, what can I do? What shortcut can I have? Oh, I could have my webcam on there all the time, so I don't have to get it out every time, you know. All those little things you pick up, eventually it becomes so easy, and you're like, oh my god, I should have been doing this from the start. But you've got to go through that pain at the start to really.
And I think that's an absolutely perfect point. You don't have to do it all yourself, but you have to know enough, because the time expectation, I know with my VA, I was like, oh my God, you know, hurry. I had a very unrealistic expectation of my own time, of how quick it would take me to do things. But because I knew how to do them, my very first video was 27 hours, by the way, to make it. And I cried. I can't tell you. But anyway, but now I know the fiddly bits, the editing, the cutting and splicing and putting freaking transitions in and whatever. It can take hours. Like, so I knew enough that if I passed it on to someone, I could say, do me that. And I would know approximately how long it would take them. Or like that, if they couldn't do it, that I could do it myself, albeit take me a lot longer.
And when we outsource, we have this unrealistic expectation that there's some superhumans that can do everything faster than us. But actually, that's not what we outsource for. A large part of it is we outsource to buy our time back. Yeah. So in that sense, like, I've got a couple of editors where, because I got really annoyed when we started the Canva Collective channel. I said I wanted to do the editing myself because I wanted to do it really quick. Because when I give a video to my editors, it will take them 2 days to edit it. And I'm like, oh, it's too long, you know. So what I did is I edited it myself the first time. My wife is our reviewer for all our video work. She has been for years. So she picks up if it's terrible or not. And I gave it to her and she was like, Matt, you are not putting this out. It's crap. I was like, okay then. So we gave it to our editors, and our editors did an amazing job of it. So like, you've got to appreciate that actually you're giving it to a professional. It doesn't mean they're loads quicker than you, but hopefully they're cheaper than you are. Yeah. And they've got full dedicated attention for that thing, which is probably the hardest thing as an entrepreneur to do, is have full dedicated attention. So they just do a better job than you, you know, and that's
and you're so right, because as an entrepreneur, our tendency is to go that and that. And I find my best results are when I switch everything off and just do that one thing. Yeah. But that doesn't happen very often.
How often is that? But we're brilliant humans, right? Like we've jumped out of the normal way of living into this weird and wonderful world. So nobody's saying we can't do those things. I can edit. I just can't do it as well as my editors could. And so why would I let my ego get involved and try and be as good as them, rather than just give it to them and let them do what they're paid to do, you know? And so,
and I have the idea of how you want it and everything. And look, so let's just to kind of refresh, because I think we could talk for ages. Yeah. So number one is branding your challenge or your channel, making sure that it is like your shop window. Making sure that there is a very direct call to action, that people know where to go. They know which door. It's not like, here's 20 doors, choose one. They know which door to go through. Using an affiliate link. So we did say about affiliate links. So some of those links that are in the channel can be to a product or a whatever. Guys, if you haven't already set up affiliates, you need to, because affiliate just means that you know a product that works great. You may use it yourself. You're sending people there. You know you can't do it, but you may get 20%, 10%, whatever, of every person that goes through that link. Have that in
50%. One of the products I do 50%. Can you believe it? I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I
have done that. Yeah, I have given 50% for some of my courses, because, and people go, oh my God, why would you give 50% away? I go, hang on, those people that person is bringing in are people I probably wouldn't reach. So 50% of something is better than 50% of nothing.
Yeah. Or 100%.
So why wouldn't you? Yeah, and that's the thing, that your ego gets in the way, going, oh no, I have to, it's mine, it's all mine, little pretty. And it's like, not at all. And then we had, make sure that you have links to group or a lead magnet, so to get them on your list. That's actually what a webinar I'm running next week, or 2 weeks actually, and it's all about how to get your leads and contacts off social media onto your list, so you're not relying on a third party. I haven't seen it so much with YouTube, but I've certainly seen it with Facebook and Instagram. Somebody's account is gone like that. 2 seconds. They've done something wrong. It happens on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Does it?
It's rare, and it's usually for some kind of copyright infringement or whatever, but it does happen. But, you know, like you say, getting them onto the list is just the most important thing, you know. It's
vital, because then you control when you talk to them and how you talk to them.
And
then number 5 was about seeding your product, so you don't have to. One of the things I hear from a lot of business owners, I don't know if you hear this, is I don't want to be sold to, and I don't want to be salesy, and blah blah. That's fine. Then you know what not to do. But when you're talking, again, you would be doing a disservice if you didn't say, hey, if you want to know more, go over here. I run one of the courses. You've done it a couple of times today. That's not a bad way. You're just literally saying, if you want to learn more, there is a course over here. And that is how we should do it, because, again, not to do a disservice to the people who need our help and support.
Yeah, because, you know, like, the worst thing you can do is have a product that nobody knows about because you don't talk about it. It doesn't mean you have to go with a, you know, what do they call sandwich boards and walk in, you know, in someone's office and say, buy my stuff all the time. You know, we all get those horrendous DMs all the time, but you can just do it enough that people say, oh, I know you have that product. And, you know, whatever business I've ran, whether it was a video company or the products we've got now, like, it's always been the same. People have dropped into my inbox and said, oh, Matt, I know you do websites.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did you know? Well, I was watching your video and you mentioned it, you know. So if you keep it as, like, the worst thing is the best kept secret, because you're not telling anyone about it. You've got to seed them. And, you know, like you said, I've mentioned content repurposing school as one example here, but I always seed something because people need to know that next logical step. And you know, and for those that are not interested, it will just pass them by and they won't even think about it again.
And even in your name, your business name, like the King of Video, I mean, that already it's seeding in a title.
Yeah. Oh, it's the best thing I ever did, because I remember before COVID, like, I only had it a couple of months before COVID, but I used to go to networking events and people would say, oh, here's the King of Video. Like, what a wonderful introduction. Even if I was terrible at video, it was still a nice
and you know, I did a course a while ago, and one of the things that came out of it, you know, we're always learning, is to be called there's something. It makes you stand out. Like, I'm known as the stress less, convert more marketing strategist. It's like, oh, okay. But I'm not a plumber. I'm not a value frame that they say, oh, I had a really bad experience with a plumber one time, so you must be like him or her.
Yeah. You've got to elevate yourself in some way.
Yeah. So it makes you stand out the minute you put THE just in front of whatever it is that you are.
Yeah.
Matt, I think we could talk about this for ages, and I think it certainly would be an opportunity to get you back on again. I have learned heaps myself, so I really, really appreciate you spending the time with us. Is there any? So we've given out your website, and I've also given your the 7 ways, so they can go on that. So what's this one, the 7 ways again?
It's just 7 ways to monetize your YouTube channel. Right. So, and of course, I mentioned my wife does my reviews. She also does all my graphics. She's the graphical genius. It's a beautiful PDF. Get it just to look and wonder in its beauty, because she's designed it. Like, when I designed it, it was in Canva as like text, and then she's made it look amazing. So,
I'm a bit like you. I'm going, oh, can you do this? I put some colors on it, and people say that's nice. And then,
nice. That's the worst, isn't it?
I handed over to my friend that's a marketing consultant for my company, and she's more the creative and definitely more the techie stuff, all the website stuff, everything like that. And she comes out and it goes, And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my God, that's amazing. But
It's gone from nice to amazing in an instant. You're
yeah,
like, oh.
yeah. And then you get jealous, kind of going, I wish I knew how to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But where's my creativity?
Yeah. But we have the ideas. And this is also your Facebook page as well. So hop over there, guys. And I'm sure if you message Matt and need any support or help, he'll point you in the right direction too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you so
So
much.
that's okay. It's been, oops, I've hit the wrong button now. It's been awesome hanging out with you. For now, guys, if you are watching this, even if you're watching it afterwards and you're not watching it when it's live, put any questions underneath and just tag myself or Matt, and we'll make sure that we answer those questions for you. Again, if you're watching it on social media, give us a thumbs up there and give us a comment. And also, if you are on YouTube, or if you're not, go over to YouTube and subscribe to my channel and to Matt's. And if you are on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, hit that button now and that little bell so you'll get alerted when there's more tips, tricks, insights, and amazing people that I'm interviewing. But for now, it's bye from me.
Bye-bye.